Hey friends, it's Rosalind. Welcome back to our gardens and our tiny farm. Just like that, the sparkle of Christmas and the holidays are over, and the reality of winter has settled in all around us. January is when I will look for different ways to bring sparkles of joy into winter. One thing I do every winter when we have a thaw is map out a new growing space. When I go to map out a new growing space, I will lay down tarp to snuff out the grass and prepare it for spring planting. That way, we have a new space to plan during the winter months and dream about all the beautiful things we will plant in here when spring arrives. This particular spot in our backfield behind the chicken run is where we had our compost pile for many years. We moved the compost pile this past fall, and I immediately thought this would be a good spot to grow a pollinator garden in because the soil is already very rich since it held a compost pile here for many years. I thought together we could fill it in spring with zinnias, cosmos, flowering herbs, and poppies for the pollinators. Talking about poppies, I love growing flowers the old fashioned way without grow lights and without overcomplicating things. Poppies need cold exposure to germinate well. In nature, they drop their seeds in fall or winter, sit through the snow and freezing temperatures, and sprout when spring arrives. So, instead of fighting that, we are going to be working with it today. Today we are going to be winter sowing poppies three different ways. We have five different varieties here. And so I have experimented two of these ways with poppies before with very great results, but there is a new experiment that we are going to try today that I have never done before. And okay, so the first one will be we are going to be winter sowing poppies. I have done that before with pretty good results. We are also going to go out and just direct sow some of these into the garden. I have done that before with very good results, but this one is a new one that we are going to try today. And that is we are going to be placing some poppy seeds into ice cube trays and just cover the poppy seeds with water, set the ice cube tray into the freezer, and then we are going to remove those ice cubes with the poppy seeds inside of them, and we are going to directly plant these ice cubes with the seeds inside of them out into the garden. I'm a busy mom with three boys, and I don't like fussing over indoor grown seedlings. So I'm always looking for different ways to winter sow cut flowers because we do have a flower stand that we have out by the road in the warmer months. And so I do grow lots and lots of cut flowers. But like I said, I don't like fussing over indoor grown seedlings. Obviously, there's some that we will need to indoor sow because they like warmer temperatures than the outdoors can give them. Through the month of January, we are just going to be working on different cut flowers that we are going to be experimenting with and growing using the winter sowing method. The first variety of poppies that we are going to experiment with together is the red corn poppy. This is actually one that I have never grown before, but it's very pretty. And okay, this one I did grow last year. It is so pretty. I didn't really use it in cut flower arrangements, but just having it in the cut flower garden, it was so, so pretty. This one is frosted salmon poppy, and it is a fully double blooming poppy. It's kind of similar to the pink peony poppies that I have grown over the last several years, but it's a brighter pink. Very excited to grow this one. And then I have a poppy that I gathered seed off of last summer. It's called Lilac Pom Pom Poppy. It is very pretty. Again, I didn't use this one in cut flower arrangements, but it was just so sweet in the garden. And the one that I have been growing for a couple of years, the pink peony poppy, this is one that I will gather seed from every fall and then Usually early to mid-winter, I will replant it directly into the garden again, or I will winter sow it. So we're just going to experiment together and see in spring which of these experiments has worked best. This is the 3 varieties that we are going to winter sow: the frosted salmon, Pandora, and the red corn poppy. Winter sowing is one of my favorite ways to start all hardy flowers from seed. And I will just sprinkle some seed over the top, especially for poppies. They do not really want to be covered. So we're just going to sprinkle it on top of the soil and moisten the seeds. I don't dump water in here because I don't want the seeds to kind of get displaced. And even after I have closed it up, when these jugs are sitting outside, I will water through the opening in the top. And that is the only way I will water, with a spray bottle. Before I close up the jug, I will make out a tag to have on the inside of the variety that is planted into this jug, and then I will also mark on the outside. Sometimes the outside will kind of fade away, and that is why it's important to also have a tag on the inside of your jug. That way you are certain of the variety that you have planted in here. As I was saying, winter sowing is my favorite way to get all hardy, perennial, biennial, anything that can tolerate frost, spring crops, hardy herbs, hardy vegetables. It's my favorite way to get all of those started because it takes very little care from you. You set these jugs outside. Really, Mother Nature takes care of them. The freeze and thaw cycle will help these seeds germinate better. When we prep our jugs for winter sowing, we want to cut around the center and leave a little hinge on the back and add anywhere from 2 to 4 drain holes in the bottom of the jug. And then add at least 3 inches of potting soil. I like to use an all-purpose potting soil for my flowers. Miracle Grow is my preferred all-purpose potting soil because it has the least amount of bark. You want to leave at least 3 inches of head space for your plants or your seedlings to grow. When I'm doing herbs or vegetables, anything like that, I will do an all-purpose organic potting mix for that. Next, we are going to tape shut these jugs, and I will leave these closed like this until spring, when we start having temperatures that go up to like 70 degrees Fahrenheit during the day, actually maybe even like 65 degrees Fahrenheit. If it starts getting warmer like that, I will just open up the jugs. Then when we have warmer days like that, I will just take off those tops so those seedlings don't cook in here, because it gets very warm inside of these jugs when the sun shines on them. And if we're expecting frost that night, I will just cover it back up, and this jug will protect those seedlings until we are no longer expecting frost, and then we will transplant those seedlings out into the garden. The last thing that we're going to do is set these jugs filled with poppy seeds out onto the patio. And these are not, like, we can't just set them outside and completely forget about them until spring. They will need occasional watering, especially if you're getting lots of sun without rain or snow. The sun really dries out the jugs quickly. There is always the question of where should I place my jugs once I have sown the seeds inside of them. So I like to have mine on the patio. They have cement underneath them and underneath this pergola, where they will still get plenty of sunlight. They will be able to gather rain and snow. And the only time that I water them, I will not water them when the jugs are frozen. But you can see on this one, see, it has condensation. And I will not water a jug like that because it means that the soil probably has enough moisture in it. But when it's looking dry like this, oftentimes the soil will be dry as well. So I just come in again with my spray bottle and I will moisten that soil. But if you're having lots of overcast days and there is lots of rain and snow, you will most likely not need to be watering your jugs. First, we're going to be planting the 3 different varieties of ice cube poppies into this border that we put in together just this past fall. And it is filled with a couple hundred spring blooming bulbs. And then I thought it would be sweet to have the spring blooming bulbs transition into these poppies And there's also some roses, and we're going to be planting hydrangeas in here. And this summer, we do plan on adding in a picket fence behind the border. I think it's going to be very sweet. So let's get these planted. All along this border where you kind of see that scuffed up mulch, that is where we planted all of the poppy seed ice cubes. And you can kind of see them. They are kind of surface level because poppies do not want to be more than just lightly covered. Hopefully we will have a beautiful show. The next spot that we're going to be planting poppy seeds in is on each side of this fence. Every year I sprinkle poppy seeds in here. I just kind of scuff up the soil a little bit, sprinkle my poppy seeds in there, and pat it into the soil. Well, friends, we have planted poppy seeds 3 different ways. We have direct sown, we did the ice cubes in the border, and we planted some into milk jugs. And in spring, we are going to plant whatever grows in the milk jugs. We are going to be planting out back into the pollinator patch that we created together. And it'll be so fun early summer when these start blooming to see which one has grown best, which one has the best blooms. So stay tuned, because in the month of January, we are going to continue just experimenting with different ways of growing seeds that do not consist of having them grown under grow lights. Have an amazing week and happy planting. I will see you right back here real soon. Bye.